everyone, and welcome to Let's Meet. I'm Aaliyah English here in Post Brick Studios at P30 Co-working Space, and I have Indianapolis, Far East Side, Warren Central graduate, Shady, the art lady, also known as Shadé Bell. Tell us a little bit about yourself as a local artist.
So as a local artist, I go by the name Shady as a nickname for everyone. And that just came about as a nickname. My first name is spelled like the word shade, so it just kind of came about. And then I've recently rebranded myself from Shady Flocka to Shady the Art Lady because I just felt like I am the mecca of being an artist, so.
I love that. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got started? I know that you grew up on the east side, went to Warren Central High School, but you didn't really do art in high school, but now you're an artist. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I found my artistry, I would say, a year after graduating, April of 2015, I sold my first canvas painting for like $20 at the Texas Roadhouse. Everyone worked at the Texas Roadhouse at some point if you lived on the east side, I guess. And from there I was like, wow, I can make money from this. Like, it was a good painting in my opinion. And from that moment I would just post art and I wouldn't really put any thought behind it. I would just do something and post it and keep going. And now I have become this very big personality artist, muralist. The journey was adventurous. A lot of soul searching for myself, honestly. I think I personally had to go through like painting what I thought people wanted and then painting what I wanted and then discovering that not everybody is gonna like what you make and not everything is gonna be like, respected or even looked at. So my journey went with accepting that, how can I say, I have an audience out there and they're waiting for me. So that's been my journey. I would say like my first big show was I got into the Amber Rose. She had a women's walk, which I will hold the name of that walk.
Mm-hmm. And for those, I'm sure the younger viewers know
the walk.
Know the walk.
There was a walk she had, and I went into their first art gallery submission, and that's how I was like, oh, maybe I'm special. So let me try doing this more and more. And after that, I would just apply, or people would ask me to be in group exhibitions. I've done so many group shows, little mini art fairs, like the Fountain Square. They have an art fair. Circle City has an art fair. Being in spaces, talking to people, getting out, getting to know people. Over the last few years, I think that I've met people that have kind of even grown into couples and they've gotten married at art shows that I've had. Hosting my own solo shows, just putting myself out there. I have failed a lot, but I also have succeeded a lot just by trying. So that's something I learned, to continuously try, continuously to put myself out there, even when things don't go my way. I have gotten up to now 4 solo shows, and I had a partnered show in LA. So like, I like to travel with artwork. I think that's probably one of the most fun things to do with traveling with art, making art. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about butter for our viewers or our readers who don't know a lot about it.
So Butter is a fine art fair for Black artists. I think last year all the artists were local, and then this year they expanded out. So it's like, I think 38 plus artists locally, and then some came from like different states and things like that. And they just give artists, Black artists particularly, a platform to have their art in a fine gallery setting. Because it's not really known around Indy in regards to being in like those spaces, those really fine, they're really hard to get in. Art spaces, you have to apply and you'll get, rejection after rejection because your art doesn't fit like Indiana's niche. So I am very grateful for Gang Gang. That is the art firm that put Butter together, and CICF. I think they're also there's so many sponsors and people involved in it, but Yeah, very big for the city. Lots and lots of people. I did not expect that many people in one Labor Day weekend. Last year it was a lot of people, but this year it was like wave after wave after wave. And I just felt grateful that all these people got to see my art. I think Damon Dash even came out. So that was big. I was like, Damon Dash saw my artwork. Thank you, Butter. Thank you, Gang Gang. Thank you, everybody. It was really fun.
What kept you going? Was there someone who kept pushing you? Was it self-motivated? What was it? Just I love what I do. What kept you going after? Because you said it's not always like your first thing is the best thing. There is rejection. Yeah. So what helps you push through?
Honestly, it's a combination of a few things. God, and I met God while painting art. I will say that, and regaining faith after I've been like, after life beat me up. Let's say life can be so hard on you, but I always find myself painting something that has something to do with my relationship with God and my relationship with the people that came before me who probably faced, if not worse things, the same things I did. So having that behind me, having that in the back of my mind, it'll make me produce something to kind of resonate that feeling, and that keeps me going. Because I can count a lot of times I wanted to give up, and then there will be like this email that will pop into my email, and I'd be like, oh, I guess I gotta keep doing it. I guess I gotta keep working. So, yeah.
Can you elaborate that on that for a little bit? You said you met God, you talked to God while you're painting. Tell me about like that first experience. When did it click? Well, can you go back to that day or that piece?
That piece would be my To Pimp a Butterfly piece, actually. It was October 2019. I think in like 2016, I painted this picture of like a ballerina dancing, and the song Strange Fruit kind of inspired that painting, and I went to do research on that painting, and that led me down a rabbit hole to just realize that song was inspired by a lynching that happened in Indiana. And then I was like, well, that's interesting. And after finding that information out, a year later I came back to the painting. I sat with it and I looked at it, and then I looked at the actual event that led me to that song, and I really didn't like how they left the people. In the photo, it was put on a postcard. It was like exploited all around the world in like the 1930s, 1939, I think it happened in August, if my memory serves me right. I just didn't like the way I saw like people that looked like me hanging and people pointing and laughing. So I read this book, and it was called The Artist's Way, and there was like this affirmation the artist should say, and I was like, okay, God, I'll handle the quantity if you handle the quality. And then after that, it's just kind of like, I just redid the painting in my own language. So I painted the two men being lynched as butterflies, and instead of like a crowd of people, I created a congregation of a sort. I actually have them tattooed on me here. But there's these little figures with white souls, like white insides, and like a really thick black outlining. And I just call them angels. So I believe Black people are kind of like butterflies. Like, to become a butterfly, you have to go through being a caterpillar, changing, that's just probably uncomfortable, and then coming out something super beautiful. So that's the moment I realized, like, oh, this is God.
That's awesome. That's so powerful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
What advice would you give to a young Shadé or a young kid anywhere in the world, but especially that young kid on the Far East Side who might want to draw but can't fit that art class in their schedule like you couldn't, or may not, just likes to doodle and think they might have something, but they're not sure what's next? What advice would you give?
My advice would be keep trying, keep asking questions. Don't be afraid of what your style might look like. Just because it doesn't look like what Picasso made, or it doesn't look like what Basquiat made, that doesn't mean it's bad. Yeah, remind yourself that what you do, what you put into the world, takes up space, and it's cool. I wish someone would have told me that. But I tell myself that now, like, you know, I'm unique. I'm one of a kind. No one else in the world looks like me, makes art like me. And that goes the same for any kid on the east side. Like, no one does what you do. Like, I know a lot of kids on the east side, and we are funny. Just a different type of funny. And, like, you're just meant to be in this world, and your audience is waiting for you.
I love that. On a lighter note, because we kind of got a little deep, what do you enjoy most about your artwork or what you do?
Touches people in a way that I could never imagine to ever touch someone without speaking to them. Like, oh, this really filled your heart, or this moved you in a way. A lot of my art is actually based around my sadness or my grief, or just how I kind of express and hold certain emotions. A lot of it's based around that, but I can paint about things or create things about happiness, which I do experience as well. Sorry, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Yes, okay. Of course. These are all great answers.
I got lost for a second.
No, it's okay. Sometimes getting lost leads you to something better, and I'm sure you've experienced that with your artwork, but also in life.
Actually, my solo show is called Wandering Through the Shade. It's a double entendre. I love that. So come wander through my head, because sometimes I get lost, but I make it to where I need to go. Yeah.
What are some things people should know about Indy's art scene and Indy and local artists?
There are a lot of resources, like more to your like reach than you could think, honestly. Like if you get online and like hashtag indie arts, or it could be the most random hashtag, but something including Indian art or artists in indie, you could find so many cool things like art firms, art groups. I think there are like so many hubs around, like the East 10th Street hub has like, I think several, how can I say, like event spaces that can be held where you can throw your own solo gallery. I'm glad that I'm a part of it. It's actually like, you get to walk around and feel like this piece of history. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, people always DM me asking like, what do you do or how do you, but I'm just like sending social media pages like, here, go check them out, go check this out. So if anybody wants to ask questions, you can ask me, I'll just send it. Yeah.
How can the community support you?
The community can support me by following me on Instagram at Shady the Art Lady. I will be putting together in the near future here, really soon actually, coffee dates with Shady. Basically, like we go to a coffee shop and I just sit and paint a portrait of you for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And
that's awesome. How do I get in? How do I book? We'll talk. I'm going to post it on my social media soon, but yeah, it's just I want to create an environment for a shared experience. I love that.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
I'm actually going to be a part of a art show in Detroit. It's called Canaway, and yeah, I'll be having some pieces there, probably selling some prints, and yeah, just an out-of-town art show. I'm excited about it. Yeah, shout out to Seven House. They're putting it together.
Thank you so much for stopping in today, Shadé. Be sure to follow her on both Instagram and Twitter at Shady the Art Lady. And make sure you're following us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Indy Far East Mag. And be sure to stop by one of our mini drop-off locations to pick up a physical copy, or check out the magazine online at indyfareastmag.com. Alrighty, make sure you're following us on social media, Indy Far East Mag. That's both on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you again to the folks at P30 and Postbrook Studios and Silver Fox Media for having us today. We'll see you guys next time.